Like, I think it did really affect me because
That's the first thing you brought it up when you saw me.
I saw George, how we haven't seen each other in a while, and
he made a joke, and he jabbed at somebody, and I go, oh, still feeling it. But here's the thing, bro. Like, you didn't use it in an evil way. You weaponized it. You realized that, okay, I could use this as fuel.
Yeah.
And you took it in the right direction. So I'm very proud of you of that. Here, my other question is this: how did you find the faith when, because like, you know, everything's a roller coaster, right? So there's sometimes you have a really big drop, and before you got that break on Disney, before you got the YouTube success, and there's the up and downs, right? There's a portion where you're just in belief that you're great, but your work is not showing truly that you're great yet. There's a lot of that version of Jake Paul out right now. And how does a man keep going if he really, because bro, you never really saw an end goal. You're like, if I get to this number, then it'll be great. You just kept pushing. So what is it that a man needs? Does he need to believe in himself? Does he need to not care about the noise, because that's exactly what you use as fuel? What does a man not need to keep going?
The word quit. Because there was moments where I didn't believe in myself. There was moments where I didn't have fuel. You know, like that motivation runs out.
Yeah.
You know, the thing someone said about you that like makes you work harder for a month. Oh, well, no one's saying anything now. Like, even losing to Tommy, I was so fired up and invigorated and in the gym working so hard. But that only lasted for like a couple of months, and so then it's like a commitment to the goal. And I think the commitment one makes to self is above all else. And my goal was to be the first social media billionaire, the first self-made social media billionaire. And so even if I would fail, I would be like, okay, I learned from that. Okay, I'm one step closer. Okay, I have these connections now. Okay, this didn't work out, but I'm not stopping, because I think that's...
So your success came from knowing that it's not the end of the world when it feels like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, you only lose when you quit.
Well, you said that your father taught you to be resilient. Do you feel like growing up doing sports has a lot to do with that?
Yeah, look, I think that hyper competitiveness and wanting to be the best,
but I want to circle that best, right? Because now us athletes are like, as long as you participate, you win. But you're saying that's not the case. It's not you just enter that you win. It's that you enter with the mindset that I'm going to beat everybody around me, and I'm going to be number one. Do you think...
Or die trying.
Exactly.
You might not be, but it's like, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you land amongst the stars, which I said to my friends the other day, but we started joking about it because the saying is shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. But there's more stars that are further, so the saying should be shoot for the stars, and even if you miss, you'll land on the moon. That's a side thing. Sorry.
My man one day was like,
sorry.
You know what, dude?
Sorry.
Because think about it. There's stars everywhere.
There's stars that are much further than the moon, so you should shoot for the stars, and even if you miss, you'll land on the moon.
I want to circle back to your pops, because I know you guys bump heads, but there's love there. Would you say your younger self is grateful that he listened to the bullshit that at the time thought was bullshit, like when your dad was pushing you? Because when you're a kid, you're like, dude, I hate my dad, bro. He's always making me outside shoveling snow, and we're always hunting, always doing this. But then later on in your life, you're like, oh, thank God. If my dad didn't make me work harder than my neighbors, I would not be able to compete at this level.
It's interesting. I don't think I ever hated him for making us work. I think there was moments where I was like, this sucks, kind of. But I didn't ever... he made me enjoy working, actually.
That's important.
He made it fun, like, and at the end of the day, we're going to Dairy Queen and I'm going to get you a Blizzard. Or, like, he made me appreciate, earning the $20 for the, 10 hours of work or whatever he would give us.
What's up, guys? This video is sponsored by Life Cycle. When I opened up this package in front of my fiance's mother, she lost her marbles. She is so excited about this, and I'm excited to share why I love this product. This right here is Life Cycle's Biohacker Set. Actually their most popular product because it covers from A to Z. Energy, stamina, stress, sleep, immunity, focus, mental clarity, gut health, and mood. Honestly, it covers it all. All right, I'm gonna show you my life cycle. In the mornings, I take lion's mane, cordyceps, and chaga. This gives me energy 4 to 6 hours. I am just like a lightning bolt. All right, turkey tail might have saved my life. This might be a little bit too much information, but my stool is impeccable right now. If you don't know what stool is, don't Google it. The next two are reishi and shiitake. You're gonna wanna put these next to your toothbrush. I'm not exaggerating. Belle and I both took this before bed, and I have never had a night's sleep like that. Don't forget to use my code for the link in the description, and that is going to be George20 for 20% off. Seriously. Try this. You're not going to regret it. How important would you say your success and your foundation would be with or without your father?
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be possible at all. And
by the way,
as well as my, you're the mom. It's that learned behavior, and that is everything. My mom is the one who taught me manifestation. So it's like if I didn't believe. And my grandpa taught her. It's like if I didn't start writing those goals, on my mirror when I was in high school, they were much simpler then. It was, I'm gonna win the wrestling tournament this weekend, and I would say it over and over again every single day. And then eventually, like that's still a part of my daily practice till this day, but the goals are much bigger. But once I saw that it was real and it made me feel good and it brought more into my life, it's essentially it's manifestation, prayer, like it's all kind of
speaking it into existence.
Exactly.
How bad is speaking bad things to yourself? Like for example, the kid that's self-deprecates for comedy, right? Every day he's in class, he's like, well, yeah, I'm the idiot. At one point, it's like, yo, the joke's on you, dude. You're making yourself an idiot.
Yes, and if you take it all lightly, though, because I think there's points of self-deprecation that are good to also like keep yourself humble. Like I make fun of my own hairline and my crooked nose and all of these things, crooked teeth, underbite, like Andrew Scholes was saying, like with the bulldogs that can go outside and like catch water, and like that was me. Like I have an underbite and shit, but like I think there's a point where it's good to keep yourself humble, but negative, where if that's all you do, then no. And
what happens if your friends are negative all the time?
Yeah, that's bad as well. That's bad as well.
Your surroundings is very important.
Frequency and more frequency, and then you're just poisoning yourself.
Habitual, yeah, and it becomes your default setting to like go into the negative, to be rude to yourself. One of my 2024 goals is to be mindful and control every thought and have better, higher quality thoughts.
That is so beautiful and on the same path that I'm at. I did this thing, and I just spoke about this. I hate re-saying things. I feel like I'm being redundant, but this is on the same page as that. If I said something negative to somebody in my head because I was around people that just talked a lot of shit and I became my environment, I trained myself out of it by, if I talk shit about Reed in my head, I would say 3 nice things about Reed. And then in my head, I'd be like, you cannot speak to that man. Just because he cannot hear you doesn't make you less of a man for thinking of that way.
You know what's funny? It's funny that you're practicing this now because you're the one who taught this to me. I don't know if you remember this, but I don't know, like a few years ago, I was having like a lot of issues with my skin. And that was really hard on me, because like just being in front of the camera, all that stuff.
I think you had the same problem as well, yeah?
Skin?
Yeah, with acne and being on camera.
I mean, my shit's still fucked up.
No, your skin looks great.
No, don't lie.
No.
Your skin looks great.
No, look, I have this like thing right here.
Yeah, but acne, it's hard because it gets to you, because it gets to your mental. And you brought that up to me, because I cry about it, and you said, I have a question for you. Like, when you see other people with acne, you're like, do you judge them? And I was like, no, I mean, I don't judge them. I know that I don't like my acne, so I'm like, oh, damn, like, I don't like that acne. And you're like, You're like, the next time you see somebody with acne, you think something bad, you're like, say 3 beautiful things about that person and see how God will change this for you. And that was a really big thing. And I know that was a really big thing for me in how God like helped me like heal my skin. Because how could I be judgmental of something on other people when I know it destroys me and it hurts me and it makes me like not want to leave the house?
That's beautiful because
Yeah.
I think that's everybody talks shit about things that they're dealing with. Like the people that tell me I talk too much are the people that talk too much. Are the people that are like, oh, he tries to be funny, are the people that probably tries to be funny. You hate the person that you look in front of because it mirrors what you're battling inside. So if you could fix the demon inside, then there's no problem anymore.
Shout out Jack Harlow. The ones that hate me the most look just like me. You
Dude,
tell me
yes.
what that means.
Yes.
Yeah.
That line
By the way,
is good.
no shot at Jack Harlow, but he was like the sweetest rapper. I would DM him. I was like, yo, I love your song. Just like as a fan, he would always message me back. And then I was like, yo, you should hop on the podcast. It just left me on
Hey,
that.
it happens, bro. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Yeah,
Wayne.
Jack, if you see this, please come on the podcast.
you wanna come on
I'm a
now.
big fan, dude. Even though you left me on red, I'm still a big
We
fan.
forgive you.
Yeah. Well, you DM'd him too?
Yeah, wait, you left
That's
you
why he doesn't want to be on the podcast. He's like, brother, you don't know. I don't want to be there.
No.
But okay, circling back to you. Okay, so we realize that your surrounding is very important. But how does a man get out of his environment if he loves them? It's hard to get away from your mom when your mom's behaving bad. It's hard to get away from your best friend because in your heart you're taught you never abandon the ones you love. But what happens when the ones you love are the ones that are the weight that keeps you sinking in the water that you cannot breathe in?
Well, you have to make sure you're good first and foremost. If you aren't good as a person, as self, then that's gonna make everyone around you kind of come to your level. And so if you're not good and you're not happy and you're not fulfilled, you can't fill up anyone else's cup. Not your mom, not your dad, not your brother, not your sister. And so that calling inside of me, I wasn't good. I was like, I need to live life. I'm not meant to be in this box. And I had to jump out of the bird's nest and fly. And at the end of the day, your parents are adults and they had 40, 50 years to figure things out. And guess what? They did. They'll be perfectly fine. And I don't know if I'm answering the right question.
No, you're
but-
answering it perfectly.
But basically, at some point, it's okay to be a little bit selfish when you're younger, and you have to figure out how to make yourself happy and how to find your purpose and to fulfill your dreams. And if your parents didn't do that, and they are clearly unhappy, divorced, and and trying to give you advice, well, should you take it or should you take the advice from the people who are where you want to be? And
Practice what you preach.
that's what I realized from a young age, and that's why I think I butted heads a lot with my dad in those younger years, because I felt like I knew where I needed to go, and it turns out I did. But maybe that's not the case for some people, and of course there's trials and tribulations along the way, but you definitely have to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day. And your parents and all of those people have their own destiny. They've had decades to figure everything out for themselves, and it's time for me, Jake Paul, to take control of my future and do what I want to do.
So would you say, so take a little bit of room, do what you gotta do, as you said, and then would you come back to them and try and communicate with them the wisdom that you feel that you have learned?
Well, that's essentially exactly what happened. And but where I didn't know how to do that was my brashness, which is what I learned from my dad, of the way to communicate that. I wasn't a good communicator in terms of relationships, peer to peer, brother to brother, because I was just like aggressive and overly passionate. Like we were talking about on the pod, it's like there's a certain way to convey and communicate things, and I just didn't have that ability until I was like 22, 23, and now still learning that and getting better at it. It's not just something you like pick up and have overnight, and you naturally as a human go to your default setting, which you're like a kid is going to be exactly like their dad. And so I had to shed that skin of how to communicate with people in a proper And I still ask Gus or Brandon or Jasper, like, there are moments where I jump back into that default setting. And,
You know, perfect.
yeah, exactly.
But it's
Yeah.
different falling into it once in a while versus an everyday pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that why you showed your brother compassion when the whole world was like, why would he talk to his own brother like that? Is because you know where your brother got his nutrients from?
Yeah, no, and that's kind of why I sat there and I was like, you don't fight fire with fire, and so I just was like, okay, I don't recall the conversation of like how it went, but I kind of just like took the energy with grace and was like, this is not how. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, well, that's. If you know the Paul family, that's not how you get across to us.
And I have to applaud you, by the way, for the way that you held yourself when you were in that situation. You absolutely did hold yourself with grace. And that showed, with your actions, by you not saying much, that showed everything. You said everything. There's nothing you could have said in that moment that would have
I want
done
to tag on to what she said because she got to see you at your excellent performance. I got to see you when you were practicing that performance. And that practicing of biting your tongue back, being patient, breathing. I've watched you blow up. I've watched you guys almost fist fight each other over a silly little argument. And for you to go from there to here, it's all from, and this is my perspective, practicing being that person.
Yep.
Because one year you may do it 4 days out of 7 days. The next year you're doing it 1 day out of 7 days. And in 5 years, maybe it's once a month. And now it's like once in a while when I'm tired or stressed, I blow up. But it wasn't like overnight you decided, hey, I'm going to be a more patient man. To be patient, you have to be patient.
No, and that is, yeah, it took a lot to get there. And credit to Susie, who's life coach, therapist for me, but it takes work. It's like being in the gym. It's no different. It's if we go to the gym, if we go to our job, if we play sports, how come we don't spend time like working on emotional intelligence and working on understanding ourselves and growing as a person? And so I think for 9 months straight, maybe, I was speaking with Susie every night for about an hour to 2 hours, just learning myself and just uncovering things and identifying it. And that's the first step.
Is it hard to do that? Is it uncomfortable to share feelings and work on things that you bury? Is it what's the worst part of like getting yourself out there with another person? Is it a humiliating standpoint? Is it like, do you have to fully surrender? What does it look like for a man that's in recovery of his mind?
It's 100 steps back, and you're creating more work for yourself, and you're getting kicked to the bottom of the hill, and you have to retrain all your default settings, and it takes a lot of time, and you have to want to do it, and it's not easy. And I think that's why a lot of people are afraid to go and do ayahuasca or to go and unveil these things about themselves or to even speak with someone, because the saying is, I had 5 problems and then I spoke to a therapist and realized I had 50. And it's true, because if you have a good therapist, they're going to say, oh yeah, well, this is happening because XYZ. This is how you're programmed. You're thinking about this problem, but you need to fix this problem.
Hearing that from somebody that you want to get better by, right? Like, that's like going to a mechanic and being like, yo, I need an oil change. And they're like, well, actually, you need to rotate your tires, you need to get an airbag,
Exactly.
you got to get oil. How does a man not get overwhelmed, frustrated? He barely got himself to pick himself up and deliver himself to a person where he wanted to solve these problems. How does a man not drown in being told that he has more problems? How does he not run away? Like, how did you stand firm and being like, okay, well, damn, like, there's more work to do? Besides having your work ethic that you're blessed with, how does a man that doesn't have your work ethic achieve these goals without being afraid and running away from them?
I think it's life. That's life. You need the adversity. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. The work to make yourself better is what makes it so much sweeter when you get to that point. The reward that's waiting for you on the other side. It's like if everything in life was a treasure hunt to find the gold, then everybody would work on themselves. And because it's a fun, we're going through the jungle, we're going to encounter all these problems, but we're going to get the gold inside the cave. And we're looking at the map, and it's amazing, and this is a fun, cool Outer Banks story. But it's no different. You know, there's gold waiting for you in terms of who you are as a person when you can figure those things out, fix some of those problems, start to change into that man, and life will start to become so much sweeter, and all the things you have wanted will come to you so much faster. And it's, I think, knowing that maybe above all else is what people should look forward to. Like,
So have
even
faith
if it's
that it's going to take you to a better place.
not even, you don't even need to have faith. It's going to. It's certain.
Yeah.
So like,
Certain
It-
faith, yeah.
it's like,
Would
if
you-
I do this work and I become better, and I work with someone to identify these problems, and I go into these spiritual ceremonies and want to integrate and come out better, then it's certain that life will be sweeter, because I'm a testament to that. It's like I went 100 steps backwards and then took all of those steps and then leaped years and years ahead, and all the things in my life started to just unravel right in front of me, right in front of my eyes.
What up, guys? This video is going to be sponsored by Henson Shaving, this little bad boy. Now, you guys are probably wondering, George, what the heck do you know about shaving? To be honest, ever since I was 1, I knew how to shave because I'm Middle Eastern. My parents were always telling me, George, you need to clean up that 5 o'clock shadow before you go to school. I would realize I would get a lot of irritations, not from this guy, just from regular ones. With a bunch of blades, I would get bumps, I would get irritations. It would look like I had a hickey, but no one ever kissed me because I didn't know how to shave properly. And now I found the solution, Henson Shaving. The way that they made this out to be, it kind of reminds me of like the barbershop vibes, you know? Like they put a blade in there and it's clean and it's new. There's no gunk in it. There's no hair jammed in it. Anyways, long story short, if you're interested in shaving and not having irritations, Henson Shaving will do the trick for you. Hit the link in my description. Use my code JANKO for 100 free blades. That's ridiculous. I don't know how many times you've shaved, but 100 is a lot. Hit the link in my description. Get 100 right now. See you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of the video. There was an interview that just happened with Cat Williams, and everyone was talking about the drama that went behind it. But the one thing that it stuck with me, and I loved it, and I can't see him differently now because of this, is when the interview, Shay asked him about how he was helping other people behind closed doors, and he never did it for the gram. He never did that for attention. And I saw that on Bradley's episode with Fuzi when he was talking about his mental health and how you reached out to him and you were like personally like, you don't have to bring this is between us. I want to get you on your feet. You're showing compassion to others around you with nothing to benefit but the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping a brother out there. Have you ever had the courage to bring this to your father and say, Dad, like, I truly with all my heart believe that you should talk to this life coach. You should figure out the necessary steps it takes to have a good conversation without bringing your emotions involved.
Yeah. And I did do that, and they did speak
That's
a
good.
bunch of times.
Did he stay dedicated to it?
No. And also, a big thing is all of these things can be unveiled in front of you, and these conversations can be had, right? I could tell somebody that they're mean to people and they, should be nicer. But if they don't want to change genuinely, and they don't want to be better, and they don't want to understand or see how it will help them, then they're not going to change. And a lot of people don't change because they've been hurt so many times and traumatized so many times and led astray so many times, and whatever it might be, been cheated on, businesses gone under, bankruptcy, XYZ. The person that they have become is what protected them through all of those situations. And so they don't want to change because they're scared of what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
And so this is all they've known their whole life, and their default setting has now gotten them to what they think is this safe place.
And that might be scary for him because he has kids, right? So like, you say when you started at the age of like 25, you started this, or how old were you when you started the life coach?
Life coach like 25. But I think what was the predecessor to that was breath work, which that was like 22.
But what I was circling is that if you were 25 when you realized, okay, I thought there was 5 problems, but there's 50 problems, and you're 25. So imagine you had to take 100 steps back, your father might have to take 2,000. So the weight is a lot different. It's kind of like a weight loss.
Yeah.
Like a kid that has a tiny belly, but you can kind of see his abs, kind of like me right now. If I go to the gym and I stop eating bad, I'll see those results quick. But it's very demotivating when a bigger person's in there doing the same thing that this man's getting the results for, but it's not showing yet.
I think it's the opposite, since they could burn more fat faster. It's not going to show right away.
But that's what
they're
people wanna
technically
see, right?
losing more weight.
Yes, but they want to see it. They want to see the change. And,
And
if they
you're
can't see
100%
it,
right. And I asked Susie about this. I was like, okay, but isn't it much harder to work with adults because they have 50 years of conditioning?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
versus the 25. And that's why with my foundation and charity, I specifically chose to work with younger kids because you can make more of an impression on them and actually like change the trajectory of their life more so than any adult, and they can implement things that will compound into much greater results. And that's why it excites me to work and help kids more than adults, because it's a lot of times if you want to help an adult, it's going to be very short-winded. It's like teaching a man to, if you fish for a man, or whatever the saying is.
It's better for you to teach a man to fish than to
Exactly.
fish for him.
Exactly. So helping an adult, I think, is like fishing for them, because it's like they should have probably figured things out by now.
It's crazy your amount of empathy that you're showing, and your ability to hone in on emotions. And I had an episode with Tony Robbins, and we were talking about emotions are the first things to actions. Before you take a step, you think of something like, oh, I'm about to go boxing, right? Like, I got to stay focused, but you're excited. But it's different if you think you're about to get your ass handed to. Now you're leading with fear. Your approach is going to be different. Fear and faith. And so I'm watching you consistently deal with faith. Faith. Are you excited to be a father to ingrain faith in him? So that way you don't have to watch your son go through those nights that you didn't have faith. Are you like excited about that? Or
Looking to launch your online store? Spocket helps you build your dropshipping store in just 5 minutes with AI. Access high-quality products with super fast shipping from premium US and EU suppliers. Integrate seamlessly with your e-commerce store, including Shopify. Boost profits with high margins and up to 30% cheaper price. Start your free 14-day trial at Spocket.co and revolutionize your e-commerce success today.
are you taking that already now with the youth that you're helping? I feel like you're just dumping your wisdom onto them so they don't have to tread in the trails that you did. What's the next step? You got to everything you've accomplished. Is fatherhood the next step? Is being a guardian the next step? Like, what do you see Jake in 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, I think it excites me more than anything else to be a father and to be there every step of the way with my kids. And that's why I work so hard, is so that when I have kids, I can semi-retire and spend the majority of my day being there and teaching them these things that I wish had been taught to me in XYZ. But yeah, arming them with the tools necessary to handle any situation, and that's teaching them the things that we actually aren't taught in school. You know, not a single thing that I was taught in my 8 hours a day for a decade of school, not one thing besides what happened outside of the classroom, which was how to be like social and make friends, maybe, not one thing has helped me get to where I am today. Not a single thing. Not the Pythagorean theorem. Not the
Well, reading helped you.
Photosynthesis.
You're saying like at a certain age, it stopped being.
Like the complicated
did
high
reading,
school classes.
but did reading help me?
What are you talking about? bro?
Like, but actually though,
yes. 'cause
I
you wouldn't
created
be able-
videos though. Like that's where it started. Obviously, like that's a bit of an exaggeration. Of course, people need to learn
But
to
reading
read,
is
but
at a
like,
young age, so I'm realizing what you're saying. Once you learn the fundamentals of how to move in the world, like I could read a sign so I don't crash into something. Like as soon as you get those fundamentals, the rest was like pointless. Like,
Yeah,
what-
like pretty much. Yeah, like
sixth
obviously
grade
it's
up was
great.
pointless to you, because it was
probably,
to me.
Probably after 4th grade. Yeah.
I got in trouble once in school, and I was in the class and I wasn't paying attention as usual, and I gave my teacher lip back, which my mom would tell me don't do that, but I did. And she goes, I only did because she said something very rude to me. She goes, the reason why, and this is what hurt, the reason why you're not going to amount to anything is because you don't try, and that's why you're going to be a failure.
Who said this to you?
My teacher. And I said, you think I'm not trying, I just don't try with things that are meaningless.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she said, oh, so you think math is meaningless?
Yes.
And I told her, I go, we're in the 3rd quarter of school. And I said, I failed the first test you gave me. And I know for a fact that if you give this test, the 1st quarter test, the first test we ever had, to the same kids that are in this classroom, they'd all fail this class. And so she goes, okay. She goes, tomorrow, guys, we're giving you guys that test to prove me wrong. Not one person in that class got a D. They all got Fs. Not one, not even the smart Asian kid that knows everything got a D. Everyone got an F. I believe, sorry, I don't think it was math, I think it was history. But regardless, that I didn't pay attention, and neither did they. They just crammed to please somebody above them. But they weren't using it as knowledge. And so I think the people that are successful in life are the ones they know what is meaningful to learn and what is junk to, like, I'm not running around like a pony for you. Like, if I'm not passionate about it and I don't think it's good for me, there's no reason to be there, which highlights passion. So I want to circle to this. How does a man find passion if he's not passionate?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a tough question because I don't know if I've been in the shoes of I've always been passionate, I guess, about pretty much whatever it was that I was doing. I think there's that fire. But
So would you say passion is important?
Yes, but I don't get how someone can't be passionate. I've always wondered this. Like, there's a million things that I would want to do with my life if I wasn't boxing or doing the things that I want. I would love to be a snowboard instructor. I'd love to be a photographer, a whitewater rafting instructor, bro. Every day you just get to fucking sail down the rapids,
random?
bro.
Not only do
No,
the
literally,
stars
bro.
land on the moon, bro, but have you ever thought about doing...
Like, there's
Do you
so
go,
many
do you
things.
go white water rafting?
Yeah,
What is
I've
that?
been
It's like when when you're in the canoe and you're
the
in a river and
crazy rivers.
with the rocks and everything. It's very dangerous.
It's so much fun, and you jump on the front, and it's called like riding the bull, and you like have the rope. It's sick. But there's so many.
So
things
you've been
that,
passionate always. It's good. I mean, listen, I
yeah,
have
but
too.
how could like I don't know if passion is the right word. This is the problem is people say all the time, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where to go in my life. Like, should I go to college? What do I major in? To me, it's simple, and people are filled with fear of failure because they know what they want to do, right? Because if I asked that person, what's your hobby? They would have an answer every single time. Oh, I love camping and I love RC cars or whatever their fucking hobby is. Great. So that's what you're gonna do.
Dang, and they don't
It's
even know that. They
it's
don't know that could be a work.
Well, how am I gonna make money? How do I like? Don't fucking like just go down that path, and the answers will reveal themselves. Get
Take
a
the
job.
first step.
Get a job at Hobbytron. Make the right connections. Before you know it, you might. First of all, you're gonna love your job because you're gonna be passionate about it, and you're gonna love going to work every day, and that's going to fill you up with happiness and all this thing, and make a life's purpose. And you're probably going to be around people. Maybe a girl a week later comes in and wants to sign up to work there, and that you meet your wife because she loves fucking RC cars too. And then guess what? You get so good at it, and you make so many connections, and you realize that this RC car on aisle 4, man, it's really good, but the gears in the motor aren't wired the right way. It's a 316 gear when it should be a 515 gear that will make it go 10 miles per hour faster, and you create your own fucking RC car and become a fucking millionaire.
Bro, let's go.
So like, I don't get that.
You need to be
but
the new
people-
Tony Robbins, bro. You
but
gotta be
people-
like,
But people don't. They look at one step in front of them, and it always has to do with money and parents. Most of the time, it's like,
Yeah.
but my parents want me to go to college. Are your parents where you want to be? Are they happy? Are they healthy? Are they in shape? Do they have a great relationship? And if the answer is yes, then maybe you could like craft some of your parents' advice, but maybe you want to live a completely different life. And so should you take their advice? I don't know. Like, if they're just worried about how you're going to make money, you say to your fucking parents, life's not all about money, motherfucker. And
I agree up to the extent of cussing them out, but yeah. But this is very beautiful, bro, because a lot of people move in fear. They don't want to, and by the way, FYI, I just want to circle back to the last conversations. Everything that you accomplished, you always started out by thinking about the last step, never the first step.
Yep.
If you think about the first step, it's impossible to see the end goal. But if you see the last step, okay, this is where I want to be, then it's like, get up and move somehow. Get yourself out of the house. But nowadays, because of technology, everybody just wants to be inside of their house. They don't want to be communicating. It's so funny. Social media has made people stop being social. And you need people around you to inspire you to think differently. You're not perfect. You're probably lost and confused, i.e. me. When I was hanging around you, I became arrogant with one grain of salt of success. I became a man to not listen to a man on the street. And then I saw a great man act differently, making me want to move in a different way. So yes, I completely agree. And by the way, there's a lot of things that I do agree with you on. You're saying. I'm just asking to see your point of views.
For sure, yeah. No, and I think, I think, yeah, I love having these conversations. I feel like we could talk for a long time, but that's now what I feel like my purpose is to help these younger people who listen to these podcasts or whatever it is to just like grab life and regain control of it. And
I got to ask you a question then, in a perspective for a child that I'm watching online, quite proud of success. He's getting a lot of hate, and he reminds me a lot about you.
No, don't say that.
Come on.
He reminds you of my old version of myself.
He reminds me of you. You know why? Because I see every move is calculated. Every move he's making is calculated. He knows what he's doing. And I think in his heart, just from an outside perspective, I think he's trying to set his people that he loves up. And I think he's doing the same thing that you did, in a different shock factor. But you got to remember, you paved the way where being the problem child could be a solution. And I saw him on the interview of Impulsive. He was very different back in the day when he first found success. And you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Who is it?
His name's Jack.
Yep. So what advice would you give to Jack, knowing that he's on this trajectory of, I think he's putting his life in danger.
Yeah,
I think there's
agreed.
a lot of people out there that want to be in the light, and they're seeing a lot of people getting sick and tired of his actions, and I'm very scared that somebody's going to do something to him that he can't reverse, regardless of all the bodyguards that he's hiring. And I understand that it's entertainment, but we got to have some type of structure where you're not putting yourself in danger, and most importantly, the people that you love in danger. So what advice would you give to a kid that is, I hate to say this to you, following in your footsteps as the problem child?
I would say it depends, but I would say, what more do you want? Because he has enough money to be able to buy a property somewhere and live on it and take care of his family. So what is it that you are trying to accomplish? Are you trying to gain more followers? Because if you are, sir, young man, they are following you for the wrong reasons. They're watching you to watch your demise. They're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. And so you are the butt of the joke, and I don't think that's what you want, young man. So what do you want? And I think the answer to that question would help the discussion, but I also can understand where he's coming from, because I was so hell-bent when I was young on being successful and having money to be able to be free and to make my parents proud and to be able to buy my dad things and my mom things and to have money for my family, that was my main goal. And so anything besides that, I didn't really care of how I got to there.
I want to add on to that because I agree everything you're saying. But I think I want to add on is, remember when we were doing just 6-second videos? You get caught in the sauce, right? Which is like you don't want to, because if you stop doing what got you there, it's everything that you did and sacrificed and were called an idiot for is for nothing. You just did all this to do what they said you were going to do, and you're going to stop and you're going to fail. And what happened, which I think of the grace of God, boxing fell into your lap.
Yeah.
You had a different trajectory to head. And so I think that he's got to the highest limits of where he should go with what he's got going on.
Yeah.
And he needs to find another passion to chase that could find him even more success financially or physically or mentally or spiritually. But I think he's caught, and mind you, I don't know the kid, but I know kids that are like him that are so scared of letting go of what they should be letting go of. Your season is time to move on. Like, it's time for you to find that new flame and start at ground zero. And some people are too scared because we know, as much as we talk shit about him, we know the sacrifice that kid had to do to get himself to where he's at. So it's very hard for him to let go of something that nobody else earned for him.
Yeah, it's not even like, it's not even scary. It's like he wouldn't even know how. If we were I think if he's hearing this, or if he were sitting right here, he would literally laugh and be like, "Yeah, bro, for sure." He wouldn't, like, you.
He probably would.
No,
bro.
for sure. Like, you wouldn't even. The words wouldn't even enter into his body. It's that bad. It's like emergency 911, like off the rails. So at some point, you can do a lot to save a lot of people, but at some point they have to find out for themselves. That's how I was. I have to touch the stove 10 times, and I'm getting better at that, where it's like, okay, I can just like listen to someone and take their advice. But when you're that young and successful,
Very
and
successful,
have all these successful quotation marks, because that's also a problem, that we're calling him this even, and it's because as a society we're conditioned to think people are successful off of their bank account and their follower count versus their happiness account and their love count. And it would be so bizarre if how society would change if you saw the monk in the woods, and the main thing that mattered in this world was love and happiness, and you saw, and we praised the people who were the happiest and the most loving. We would all just be like running into the woods to go take a selfie with the monks because they're extremely happy and have all the love they need right there with themselves. So it's actually bad of us to call him successful, because I don't think he's successful.
You find him to be in a good spot,
but in
yeah.
by society's terms, he's successful because he has money and followers and he's got a mansion and cars inside of it. But
But it's
That's
funny
not
that
how I judge a man.
But like society also knows we all like even the kid that doesn't have money, right? When you were growing up, right? You knew in your heart not all rich people are happy. We all know this. We see the movies, we hear the songs.
Yeah.
Motivation of having other people look at you in a successful light is very strong motivation for people. I want, like even you, right? When you first started, you wanted to prove the people that wrote you off wrong. You should have worked with me. I find myself to be very valuable. And so when you're caught trying to chase that and then you get that, you're not letting go of that for anything in the world. So I think that's his position that's in. But I also want to remind you, when we were friends and you were going through the parts of your life where your neighbors were upset with you and you were known as the bad kid online, right? You're friends with him, bro, he's an asshole. Then it went to, yo, he's trying to be a boxer. Then it was like, whoa, dude, he's knocking people out. And then it went to like, oh, he's fake. And then now he's like, no, he's actually really seriously knocking these dudes out. And now they're like, I'm seeing memes of people being like, Ali and Jake, same birthday, same legacy. That's a crazy jump.
Yeah.
But if you listen to what people were telling you, you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Who is in his ear? Who's in Jack's ear to tell him, hey man, maybe the direction you're taking it isn't the best direction anymore. Your surroundings are everything.
I don't know who this man, so I don't really want to speak on him because I'm not sure, but from what I've gathered from what you guys have said, I think it's the kind of thing where, he's going to have to like learn for himself. He's gonna have to be on this journey on his own, and he's gonna have to learn until something smacks him in the face, and he's gonna be like, okay, and that's gonna be his lesson. And sometimes like you have to fall on your own to learn it, because nothing that anybody else says, if you don't want to hear it, you're not gonna listen to them, and you won't do it for yourself.
And it might be it might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, because bro, where you're at right now helping children wouldn't have happened if you weren't the problem child and realized that, hey, these problems came because of my surroundings and the people that inspired me to be the person that I am. Let me now touch the youth so they can be inspired by good behavior instead of bad. So there's a thing that my mom used to say. She goes, the Lord takes something bad and he'll make it good for you. So Jack, I hope if you're listening, bro, you have all the opportunities to be doing really substantial things in life. Like, and I don't mean for you to look up to Jake, but Jake is a great example of a man that people doubted his abilities, and now there's many kids trying to become Jake Paul. And it happens through adversity. So let's stay away from him for a bit, because I feel like we're just sitting here gossiping about him. We are, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. This video is sponsored by a freaking beast of a product that I absolutely love. Electric e-bike. Now, you guys always hear me talking about me riding my electric bikes, but there's a bike out there right now that is perfect for your wallet, perfect for your entertainment, perfect for literally everything. I'm talking about for traveling, right? You don't want to put it on the hitch. You want something that could fold and you could put in your trunk, take to the beach, take to your mother's house, take it to somebody who likes bikes, but you're like, hey, let me unfold mine real quick, and then we could just ride together. You want one zippy, fast. You want one that has good durability, that's safe when you're riding. You want one that you could take everywhere, anywhere, at all times. Well, that's electricebike.com. Get hundreds of dollars in free accessories with your electric e-bike purchase, including America's best-selling e-bike, the XP 3.0. Visit electricebikes.com. That is LECTRICE bikes.com. If you're dyslexic like me, I'll write it right here for you. Please visit the website.
Let's talk about the kids that you help. I mean, that's such an incredible thing that you do, and I can only imagine, how that feels for you. So tell us about that, and kind of tell us about your process of how you got into it, how you built up your foundation.
I want to talk about Amanda, because I know you brought that up too.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that story.
Yeah, no, so I think boxing saved me, and it pulled me out of a very, very dark place, gave me that routine, that discipline, and it brought me back to my roots. I lost myself in Los Angeles and got away from competitiveness in sports, which was like my first love. And so it really brought me back to myself, and it gave me the opportunity to step away from the cameras, which is what I think a lot of people, YouTubers and such, who are lost need to do, is step away so they can find themselves and who and what they want to be. And boxing gave me all of these things. It gave me something to fight for. It gave me purpose. And I believe a lot of people are probably in that same space.
A lot.
The message is simple. It's like, if it worked for me, it's probably going to work for you. And so you should box. You should learn this skill. You should get back connected to your primal nature, to being an animal. We forget that that's exactly what we are, and that it feels so good to sometimes let that anger, that aggression out, that life, that anxiety into a heavy bag or whatever it might be. Because sometimes when I lift, it doesn't even do that for me. So boxing was that calling, and young kids specifically, I think cyberbullying is like terrible. People making anonymous accounts and being able to say things all the time in schools, and that's what happened to me. People in my school, these girls made a Facebook account called Jake Small, and so it was like saying I had a little dick. And so since I was a kid, like these accounts were being made of me. When I started my Vine journey, there was fake accounts in the high school talking shit about me almost every week, and the whole school would like favor it, but I never know who it was because it was anonymous. And so this cyberbullying thing like really affected me, and I can only imagine if it's 10 times worse now than it was back then. And everything's on camera, there's a record of everything. And so the message is like, pick up the boxing gloves to find that confidence, find that purpose, but also to fight back against bullying, and more so specifically cyberbullying, which I think is run rampant, and to lift up others around you, and to respect others, and to treat them with love. And to, if you see these things happening in your schools, to your peers, don't be the person that clicks like, that adds to it, that makes things worse, that retweets it. Be the person to say, no, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that message is out there anywhere. I don't see anybody talking about it, quite frankly. And so that's the mission, and we're renovating gyms, getting boxing gloves into as many kids' hands as possible, doing all types of things. So
Can we talk about Amanda? How did that relationship start?
yeah, so basically we were throwing an event in Cleveland. I was fighting Tyron Woodley and wanted to shine a light on women's boxing, and have a co-main event that was electric, because I thought that was like something. When I came into boxing, there was a lot of problems in the sport, and I just kind of like identified the areas of where things are missing, what could be done better. It's the same thing that I did in vlogging. When I first started vlogging, I watched a bunch of vlogs and I was like, what could be better? This is boring. Let's do this, and that. And one of those things was highlighting women in the sport, and met Amanda through that process, or kind of rekindled our friendship. We had met like once before, but heard her story about getting paid basically like $5,000 for fights, and how she's one of the best fighters of all time. She's a 7-division world champion.
So she's at the top of getting paid.
She was already at the top.
Only getting 5.
She was like 39.
She's putting her life in danger like
exactly. So she was 39-0 or 38-0, I believe, when we came into the picture. 7-division world champion. I believe the only other person to do that is Manny Pacquiao. So one of the greatest of all time. And don't quote me on that. There might be some.
No,
it might be a different name.
It's on, you can't take it back.
but I was like, excuse me, what? And so I was like, all right, we're gonna pay you. I think it was $100,000 to be a part of the card. I was like, I'm gonna set the precedent here, and I can't believe all these other fighters are getting paid around these numbers too. So I made it a point that pretty much on every card of mine, we've tried to make every single fighter their biggest payday, and pay them the most amount of money that they'd ever been paid. But me and Amanda also hit it off as friends, as well as her trainer. They're just really good people. And I started speaking up, like, how could fighters get paid like this? There's no, they're getting taken advantage of, specifically women. they're not getting the same opportunities. They're not. There's not any massive women's fights going on, and people were like, yeah, he's right. And everyone like supported me when I was speaking out against these things, and I was like, oh wow, no one's said anything about this for years. I'm gonna run with this torch.
Yeah.
Because I believe I can make change here, and not only make change, but be the change. Like, pay Amanda $100,000. Like,
that changes your life, bro.
Yeah.
And
one fight is more than all of the fights she's ever done in her life.
Yeah, and so, boom, domino effect. A bunch of things started to happen, and we were able to make the biggest women's fight ever in history, her versus Katie Taylor. They both got $1 million, biggest payday for women ever.
That's incredible.
And now we're just continuing to knock down barriers. She's fighting 12 3-minute rounds, which normally women's fights are 10 2-minute rounds. So it's about equality and getting paid more, and now she's the highest paid women's boxer in the sport by far, and it's just crazy.
Making change is your formula, right? You get, like you said, you do the vlogging, you do the YouTube, you do the Vine, you do all the stuff, you make change. And I noticed you had a back and forth with Dana. And to be honest, that one kind of threw me off for a loop. Now, I don't know what fighters are getting paid. I don't know the structure of fights, but if you peel back the POV on how you guys live your life and your values are very almost similar. You guys have very good same point of views outside of the paying thing. Have you ever tried to peacefully, instead of like torturing him online, have you ever tried to pull him aside and be like, Dana, explain to me why you're doing this when I know you're standing up for people's rights, you're standing up for the way they speak, you're doing good things behind closed doors. I need you to educate me on why is it that they're risking their lives for this amount of money.
Yeah. I don't think that approach is going to work. It's going to take something else. However, saying you're going to do things for people and saying free speech this and free speech that and doing all types of things is different than your actions. So if you could act like you're a good person and act like you want to help the world and all of these things, but if your actions don't align with that, then you're just a liar. And I'm not saying that's what he is. I think you're right in terms of there's a lot of things that Dana and I agree on. And the vendetta is not necessarily against him. There have been personal attacks thrown because that's where it got to, which he started. I will point that out by calling my fights fake. He was the person that introduced that idea. Bringing in the steroids accusations, that was Dana White. And specifically hiring coaches for Ben Askren to beat me because he wanted me to lose. So there was personal
He chose you as an
things.
enemy.
Yeah, there was personal things on my side of things that were said.
Can I ask you something?
Well,
do you think that okay, for example, right, say you build a company up, you build up better, and in your heart you're doing good in your heart, and you feel like you're doing what you wished other people did for you, and then you have another kid out of nowhere come out and be like, bro, how you're running your job is filthy and gross. But he's like, bro, you don't even know who I am, so now you just came at his neck without even asking him his perspective. Would you not give him the right to try to take you out too?
I would take the criticism and listen to it, and especially if it was from my fighters, my heavyweight champions, Francis Ngannou and John Jones, and
so
all
you're
of
saying
his
there's
fighters.
smoke, there's fire.
Everybody's criticizing him. I was just the loudest about it. Everyone, the whole MMA community, like the fighters on his roster saying we don't get paid enough. So I would look at the criticism, even if I had my opinion, I would get to truth. And that's where I think society is heading. That's why I like Vivek, because he's just about the truth. There's no ego involved, X, Y, Z. However, that's why bullshit some point because regardless of my attacks on Dana, it's just like and I respect him and his work ethic and what he did for MMA and the company. Everyone thinks I hate the UFC. I was a UFC fan growing up. I still enjoy it.
There's pictures of you going to the Chuck Liddell thing.
This is what I'm saying. Like, people think I hate. No. They have the message misconstrued because of all the drama that got thrown into it. And the message is very simple, and it's just treat fighters better and pay them more. If the fighter minimum payment is $12,500 for a fight. So even if they got 3 fights a year, they're still making not enough to get by because they have to pay for their own gyms, their coaches, their meals, their camp, their travel, all of these things, right? So if the UFC raised that minimum, the better minimum, to $50,000 a year, not only would it improve the sport because you'd have more people in gyms more often. The lower level fighters would want to strive to be greater, and they would only focus on that. They wouldn't have to be teachers, they wouldn't have to be janitors, and they could focus on their craft, and they could make $50,000 to $100,000 a year if they fought twice. That would
Get your domain today at GoDaddy. Ready to take your idea online? Your domain awaits. Get the best.com domain from GoDaddy. Take the next step of your business journey with GoDaddy.
Why I love Envato Elements? I love that I don't have to animate my own texting conversations in After Effects, because that's a lot of work. Whatever picture, sound, or graphic that I can imagine, Envato Elements has the thing to bring that vision to life and create better videos faster. Try Envato Elements now and get access to unlimited downloads of millions of creative assets, all covered with a lifetime commercial license. Create better videos faster.
Cost the UFC $20 million a year, and in terms of what they make, billions and billions.
Do they make billions?
It's the most profitable sport in the world, and I believe it's.
Wait, is that true?
Yes, and I believe it's. I dare say it is. It is. I might want to. I don't know if this is true, but I think it's the only sport that's like 100 actually profitable on a fiscal year basis. Maybe the NFL, that could be wrong, but it is the most profitable entity.
I thought boxing makes way more than MMA.
Boxer.
So the sport in general doesn't make as much as the UFC? Because in my mind, the reason why I was defending him is because I thought the whole pie was a lot less. So he's trying to do his best to provide in a pyramid like the top champs all the way down to the people that are beginning that to work up all the way to the pot. If you're saying that they're just, oh, I'm just taking all this and the fighters have to deal with it, that's a different story.
The UFC pays its fighters 15% of the revenue. Whereas in the NFL, it's 50-50. NBA is 50-50. So they're basically hoarding that extra 35% for themselves.
That's tough to defend.
And
especially when it's a brutal sport.
And it's without them. You wouldn't have it.
And in the NFL, the coaches are paid for. There's health care, long-term health care after divorces. Facilities are paid for. All of these things, food, XYZ is paid for. So not only is it they make more money, but they also get everything paid for. So it really is a big discrepancy. And again, for a company that's making $1, $2, $3 billion a year, $20 million isn't shit. And this is where the big thing lies for me, and then like the long-term healthcare. It's like, cool, look at where we've gotten with MMA, great job, UFC, but like now you should care about your employees and the people that got you there, and the fighters are the content. They are the ones risking their lives. And the discussion, also, it's funny because they pay their fighters 15% of the revenue, but that includes Conor McGregor. So like if you got rid of Conor McGregor, it's really like he's 5% of that. So it's like they're actually only giving him like 10%. So it's even crazier if you like actually.
Well, there's some
break
UFC
down
fighters that say they're like, oh, it changes once you get to a level, right? They renegotiate contracts once they start bringing it in. Who's the gentleman that just
like
fought?
there's probably like a handful of them. Yeah, but they're also still not getting nearly what they deserve by any means.
Right there.
So but let's just start with the minimum. Fix that. And some health care.
Would you ever be down to sit down and have a conversation with him if he's like, okay, let's throw some ideas out there? Or do you fully think that he's just like, doesn't care, this is truly his perspective? Is it like his way or the highway because he built this like as his baby?
Yeah, I don't think he believes that they deserve it. I don't think he will change it. And
I would love to have a conversation with him and pick his point of views, because from hearing the way he speaks, I find it challenging to accept that he's selfish. I don't know why. And maybe he's just a great speaker, and that could be a problem. But I would love to challenge his heart, because I would love to see not only you make the change, but I would love to see him step into a light.
we're gonna make the change regardless.
No damn. Shit. All right.
No,
well, never
yeah.
mind.
And I'm sure that
We're gonna make a fighters union, and we are making a fighters
You're
union.
like the
We
Fran
have
Dresser. Fran what?
We have been
Fran Dresser.
behind
Fran
the
Dresser?
scenes.
Mr. Sheffield. Did you know what I'm talking
Well-
about here or no?
No, but like
She's the president of SAG-AFTRA, but
She defends actors. That's why the whole strike happened, is because they were going to even hurt the actors less that don't have any income their way.
Yeah.
And she says, that's it, no
With
one's
AI
acting. And
and
she has the
everything.
power to shut everything down and say, no, we're not moving until you guys understand that I'm going to take care of these actors. And that's
yeah,
what
so
you're trying to do.
Exactly. There's no union for fighters, which is crazy. Because
Right.
like boxing's been around since the 1500s.
Well, what a beautiful
So-
time for fighters right now to have someone like you, to bring things to light and make a change. And I'm sure they're incredibly grateful for that.
The problem
You know?
child, fixing the problem.
Yeah, so it's funny that you
Well, you
started
just
the
said.
episode with that, because my Susie calls me the solution child, and she says you're.
Oh, wow.
She almost every time we talk, she says you're not the problem child.
You're not. And I've told you that.
Yeah.
And like you're a righteous man. And like, for example, the situation with me and Logan, right? Like you could have easily just been like, yeah, I'm siding with my brother. I'm not gonna side with this kid. But you were weighed out and you were like, nah, I just feel like you guys will get back together. I'm not gonna just side with somebody. I'm logically gonna weigh this out and realize I'm not gonna pick a side. I'm gonna let you boys deal with it as men. And then me and you talk behind closed doors. And to be honest, bro, that was one of my biggest fears. I thought I was gonna lose you and GP. Because I really care about you guys. So like, when I got a call from both of you, and I'm gonna sound like a weak man, but I cried. I literally got so scared of losing people I love that when you guys both called me, I was like, okay, good. Like if they could believe in me, then I could probably move forward and not lose everybody in my life.
Well, that's because I know both you and Logan, and Logan can be very confusing, but he means well, and he has a good heart deep down, and I know that of you as well, and so it was just like, okay, they're fighting.
like I'm waiting.
Yeah, like
It's so funny.
these things happen. I'm not gonna. Yeah, and I would tell Logan the same thing. I'm not gonna just like, and I wouldn't want him to choose a side if he believed there was a